80s, early 90s, in that time period before a lot of the regulations really stepped up. And that was like right around the time that they started getting really hard on the catching of stripers and things. But I mean, like, we would go around and we would steal lobsters out of lobster pots because you could then. And you would just go over, you'd pull up their lobster pot. Oh, look, 4 guys in here, they're mine. And you put it back down like nothing ever happened. And we would get back and we would open the door into the house. We would tell my dad's mother, put on a pot of water and start boiling potatoes. We're going to have lobster and fish tonight.
Well, nowadays people shoot you over that. Like they're
oh, no. Now, like I said, this is a very different time. Yeah. Now it's super regulated and it's also very heavily illegal. You can get like, I think thousands of dollars in fines.
I mean, thousands of dollars versus getting shot by the guy you stole his pot from. I'd take the fine.
As long as the amount of lobster you steal is not more than $999, you're okay.
Welcome to Achieving Failure, a podcast that gives you a break from politics, popular trends, and brings you good old-fashioned life stories that made us who we are today. Sit back and relax with your host, Chris, as he brings you another exciting adventure on how to achieve failure.
All right. I was going to start this off where another exciting episode of Achieving Failure. Got my dad back on the show, and somehow this guy hacked into my network and dropped himself. Literally dropped in.
Literally.
He meant to do that. That's all kind of scripted.
We're already
you think it's, off the cuff, but it's heavily scripted.
So, yeah. And I have my fluffy slippers that I'm waiting for it to get caught in a candle. But so since we're wrapping up December, what better way to talk about summer to the complete opposite? And remember 4th of July?
You talking to me?
The year that wasn't that was not 2024.
So all other years, yes.
So for us, when we were kids, we went to this place called Montauk, New York, which I did not realize how far.
It is a hike.
We went there on 4th of July?
Yes. I know
several times.
We were there 4th of July because that's when we were celebrating my half a birthday, and then everybody got poor and told me to get a job and go to hell.
Well, you were probably 3 years old. Well, the reason I mixed that up is because Uncle George had fireworks at any given time of the year. So
that's correct.
Now, I know the one thing that you remembered, Dad, the most was
the pain.
The what?
The pain
of what?
Wait. Do not hold.
Let's see. No. Go. Please
do not hold a firecracker in your hand.
Family, friends, the pain, the existence.
Yes, the existence. That's
the perpetual pain of life.
Yes.
No. What was your favorite thing that was in the backyard that was about 4 feet from the door?
You see, we should have rehearsed this because I'm having a memory lapse. But if you ask that question, there could be only one answer in Montauk, and that is a frickin' train.
I don't know how much of this story or how much about that property that you guys know. I mean, Uncle Danny, I'm sure that you have memories of that place that are exceedingly more detailed and much more well-informed than mine, because at that point in time, with Dad still around and all of my my grandmother's side of the family basically had moved out there. They had most of Navy Road, so they were out there quite a bit. But yeah, they're basically right on Navy Road. The Long Island Railroad drives right through all of this residential section, and the houses are not more than like 60 feet off the railroad tracks.
No, I do remember, because that was, how would you describe that? A regular train with passengers? Or
no, so it was a standard Long Island Railroad passenger transit line.
Yeah, people would come out to Long Island. They would take the train, And there were places to go once you got there.
And how fast do you think in a residential area they were going through? Because I remember it was. I mean, I was a kid at the time too, but I mean, that was pretty goddamn quick.
It was moving. It was moving probably 60-ish.
It was just 60-ish.
You think they would have gone 60? That was very close to the stop. I think they were going less than that, but I
mean, it could be. It could be.
When you're 4 feet,
either way, they were still moving pretty quick.
When you're 5 feet from the house,
half a million pounds of metal, it doesn't really matter whether they're going 40 or 60, right? You're
That's
dead.
true.
Yeah.
I mean, if it hits you, it's still pretty much game over.
Hey, let's put a penny on the track. Well, wait for the train to go first, or do it before the train comes.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't that a thing you would do it as a kid? You put a bunch
I do remember, though, you just brought it to mind. We learned something. Who doesn't like playing with electronics? We learned that if you short the two tracks together, that'll make the what do you call it? The
arm?
The arm go down, yeah, and block traffic. And we learned that there was some story that went around about some guys that were carrying a canoe across the railroad track, and they just put it down temporarily to get a better grip on it. And they noticed that, crap, when I put the canoe down, the railroad crossing is initiated, right? And then they picked it up and it went back, and they said, well, let's try that again, and then they do it 4 and 5 times, driving everyone nuts. So we didn't have a canoe, so we used a pair of jumper cables, which worked just as well, and we just shorted the tracks together. And I said, "Son of a gun, this thing really does work." So why is that? What? Now I'm curious. Who am I going to ask? Am I going to stop the train conductor and say, "Hey, when I short your tracks together, why does the thing close?" I really couldn't ask anybody, and we didn't have the internet, so I had to wait a few years to find out that that's a normal function, and you can see where the connection is made. It's not. If you go way down the track and do it, nothing happens. You got to be within, 1,000 feet of the crossing for it to work. So if you go beyond 1,000 feet, nothing. We did test it. We went, no. Yes. Oh, this is good.
Get the spray paint, mark the line so when we screw with traffic.
Jumper here, right?
Well, I still remember I think it was the 4th of July, everybody was going out there. And I think that this was a story that was recounted to me well after the fact. I think this occurred probably either when I was an infant or before I was even born. But my father had given everybody directions on how to get out there with his handwriting. And I think it was Ralph and Jack that were coming out together because they had to leave later that night or something, because everybody grew up in Teaneck, but they had to leave later that night, and they were going out and trying to get out there. They're like, I'm trying to follow these fucking instructions. And we get down, and all the instructions say is, okay, there's a couple of trees, and then go between 2 big things. And everybody's trying to figure out what the hell these big things are. They eventually find themselves on like the ass end of Navy Road. They have no idea where the house is. There's no cell phones at this point in time, so nobody knows how to get a hold of anybody. I mean, it's the middle of the night in Montauk, which is dark. I mean, dark enough that like you can see most of the Milky Way. And so they just end up camping out on the beach for until morning time, and they started driving up and down the street looking for where everybody else was, and they finally found all the cars and stuff. But yeah, that was go between 2 big things was my dad's directions on how to get out there.
And those 2 big things were
buildings. They were specifically supposed to be buildings.
Oh, okay.
So I think we've got to give a lot of credit to us boomers. I mean, I wonder how the hell we got around it all. I used to drive out to, the end of Long Island, out to the raceway out there. What is it? What's the racetrack out there? Bridgehampton. And that was well in the darkness, and it was all little side roads, It was complicated. And
and there's not a lot of signs either.
We used a thing called maps, something I know nobody today even knows what it is. You show a map to a 20-year-old, forget about it. They don't even know what it is. What is it, art? I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, growing up in New Jersey, I mean, at least for me, northern New Jersey, we would always go off landmarks. We go down, you're going to see a big rock painted white. have a bunch of shit on it. Everybody would come down. It was right across the street from the diner.
Yeah.
But it was like, but that was it. That was your landmark. When you go there, if it's on your left, turn left at that intersection. If you're coming down the road and you see a steakhouse and you're approaching that rock, make a right. That was like Stonetown Road or something. And everybody knew. And that's how I got around. That's how I still get around. People ask me, "Oh, do you know where this road is?" I go, I don't know. What the hell is that?
Same here. I mean, Chris,
I
a couple
said,
of years
"Oh,
back,
go past the two lakes, and then as you're approaching the second lake, you'll see a clubhouse. Make a right. Oh, yeah, okay."
Well, I think that's true of local, directions, but it's not true of things outside your area where you really need to have all of that documentation.
Well,
Plus,
I mean, one of the things, like, I used to go up to Ox Orchards for apple picking so often that I still have no idea the names of any of those roads. I just know how to get there.
Yeah.
Like, I do everything by landmark.
Well, did I tell you when I was going to when I was doing the whole train engineering school, I did a ride along with one of the train engineers, the guys who actually drive the train, and we're doing, I don't know, 100, 80, 100, and he goes, "Oh, you see that stack of newspapers that are dissolving in the grass?" I said, "What?" He goes, "Oh yeah, that you gotta know where to look." But he goes, "Oh, that means we're hitting a patch of we're hitting a hairpin turn, so we got to slow down to 30 miles an hour.
A
We got
patch
about
of
half
dissolving papers.
Yes. So I said, "So what's going to happen?"
How the hell long
I
is
said,
that
"So what's
good
going to
for?"
happen when that disappears?" Oh, we're screwed. If somebody like moves this rock or moves and there was another one, there was like an ornament on somebody's house. That was literally New Jersey's transit indication of we were approaching this train station, and that's how
Start
they judge
slowing
it.
down.
Yeah, I was like, so if somebody took down their Christmas ornament in July, you're fucked. You're just gonna blow past that train station because I just see that same old house, but no ornament. I guess I gotta keep going.
Well, I mean, navigation was always interesting like that. But yeah, so anyway, Montauk is a very, very cool place. Second, 2-story building, very old style, because Montauk was an old fishing community. But you go out there, we'd have the easement to be able to just take the beach, right off the house and go down and get right on the boat and go out fishing all day and whatnot.
Now, do you remember when George or your dad, my uncle, your friend, took the boat out for the first time and I wanted to go when I was all excited. I don't remember if you guys were able to go. I don't remember exactly how it went, but I do remember he spent all afternoon getting the boat ready. He pushed it into the ocean. He launched it off the trailer, pulled it out, and he lost his boat keys.
The boat keys fell overboard?
The boat keys fell out of his pocket.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I know that we rebuilt that boat twice.
That's a good one. I didn't remember that one.
So it wound up being, it took him a while to find it. He was like, I can't, well, here you go. Now you can't get the boat out of the water because you got to drive it out. You got to drive it onto the trailer. You can't drive it. You don't have the keys. You can't move it. It's out of the water.
Was it the keys for the boat?
Yes.
Did he dive down and find them? Or
well, what wound up happening was he had that little orange sponge, that inflatable sponge thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it got wet, it would buoy up because it would make it buoyant.
And it actually
would
just
float to the
kind of
top.
caught itself right at the very bottom, right where that little curve of the boat meets the water.
Oh, and he found
it just
it.
kind of got stuck right there.
Oh, talk about luck.
Yeah, no, I remember the key fob buoy that you're talking about.
Yeah,
I
but it was
remember
after a couple hours of just I don't know what to do. This family trip is over.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why at least, they were smart enough to have buoy
Beer.
fob on the thing.
No, they had beer. And while you're waiting for the fob to, come to the
While you're waiting
surface.
to find the fucking fob, you're just having beers.
By the way, it's a well-known fact that whole area, the water table, the water level is up about a quarter to a half of an inch because of your dad throwing beer cans in that area.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, it's actually so many beer cans that actually push the water level up a little. Just a little, not much, but
Now-
And I think there was a scientific thing that you could actually calculate the amount of beer consumed by looking at the rise in the water level, okay? Because as we know, we never really keep beer, we just kind of rent it.
That's true.
Kind of goes back where it came from.
I remember, since there was nothing but a bunch of cops and a couple non-cops staying at that house. There was one time where they were all outside shooting at beer bottles and beer cans on the property. And I can't remember if they were actual guns
Oh, so
or if they were pellet guns. Because now I'm thinking, I was like, it wasn't like a boom, 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 but it was like a... So I was like, could it have been 20... Were they shooting 22s?
because the deck was two levels, we would set up a whole target range in the backyard off the railroad property. And
Here comes
we
the
would
train.
use
Everybody
BB
quit
guns.
shooting real quick. We don't want to hit a computer.
It was like a shitload of BB guns, and you would just go and shoot BB targets, and that was as long as we weren't playing horseshoes, because we had the horseshoe pits right there.
Right.
But we would have the BB guns, and we'd take the BB guns out and go shoot everything out there.
Okay, so it was BB guns, because I remember I actually wanted to shoot with them, but they said, no, you're a kid, so they gave me a super soaker. And they let
Yeah,
me...
that's what they gave all of us super soakers. They're like, you guys go have fun with these.
Now, somewhere on your end, no, maybe one of us, I know for a fact, and it was just probably 5-10 years ago, I've seen this video, but I know for a fact, and I want to say we have it, there was home video of Montauk, and I specifically remember you and your brother fighting over one super soaker. It was probably me who gave it to you because there was only one available.
We were just watching that the other day. I don't know if we watched all the footage.
Was it?
Wait, don't you remember us looking at that?
No, I fell asleep.
You were there, weren't you? Weren't you seeing it?
No, I wasn't there.
No, that was last week. No, yeah, he was there.
We were at Montauk, and George was chasing Sue around.
So that
and
was on the
kids were
video.
little. What?
That's on the video?
But I don't know if that specific thing is on the video because we did not finish watching it, is what I'm trying to say.
So the one thing in particular that I would love to find is I probably caused this, as I normally do. I threw one super soaker into the kiddie pool that Mike and Tim are both playing in, and they both immediately, like piranhas, they went for it. And they're fighting each other.
That's my gun. It's mine. No, it's mine. Mine.
I thought you fixed it.
Whoops.
Who did that?
So even
And-
then you were a troublemaker.
And I just left it there and
then
let
we got in
things.
trouble. It was Chris's fault.
So what wound up happening was I threw the super soaker and they're fighting, and George goes, "Hey, this is how you solve this problem," and he just takes a hose and just sprays them both in the face.
Mid 80s, early 90s, in that time period before a lot of the regulations really stepped up. And that was like right around the time that they started getting really hard on the catching of stripers and things. But I mean, like, we would go around and we would steal lobsters out of lobster pots because you could then. And you would just go over, you'd pull up their lobster pot. Oh, look, 4 guys in here, they're mine. And you put it back down like nothing ever happened. And we would get back and we would open the door into the house. We would tell my dad's mother, put on a pot of water and start boiling potatoes. We're going to have lobster and fish tonight.
Well, nowadays people shoot you over that. Like they're
Oh,
nuts.
no. Now, like I said, this is a very different time. Yeah, now it's super regulated, and it's also very heavily illegal. You can get, like, I think thousands of dollars in fines.
I mean, thousands of dollars versus getting shot by the guy you stole his pot from. I'd take the fine.
As long as the amount of lobster you steal is not more than $999, you're okay.
You still make it out in the end.
you
Covered. You're covered.
Now,
I'll never forget your dad came by once, and I don't know, I was outside working, and he says, "Hey, you want any fish?" I said, and that's the way I remember it. So that was a good story. I remember.
I still can't hear you guys.
So,
I went to go I went to go reset the counter on my camera, and I kicked the one and only cord that disconnected everything from the computer.
Nice.
So your old man comes by. He's got his trunk filled with fish to the brim. He said, "You want any fish?" I said, "I don't think so. I had anticipated cleaning them or whatever." And I said, "I think my mom's already got supper on the table." So okay. And I said, "But that's a lot of fish." He said, "Oh yeah." And I said, "How long have they been in there?" He says, "Well, since this morning." I said, "That's going to really stink." And he says, "Well, what do you mean?" And I said, "It's really going to stink." He says, "Yeah." Then he closed the trunk. He says, "Okay, so I'll see you later." And I said, I don't want to ride in your car ever again. I'm sorry. It was not the Oldshearst either. It was some other car he had.
All right, wrapping it up. Thanks. Hey, Mike, thanks for dropping in and dropping your camera. Dad, thanks for driving all the way across country to...
Anytime. I will do it again tomorrow night after I reach Kansas City or something. Yeah.
Dude, if you see those UFOs, you gotta tell those motherfuckers come back because they still owe me $15.
That wasn't funny.
All right, I'm ending this.
You broke my goddamn headphone. What the fuck?
Thanks for
know,
listening to this
top
week's
fell off.
episode. For more info, find us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you have a story you'd love to share, shoot us an email at aflvpodcast@gmail.com. That's AF, Achieving Failure, LV, Las Vegas, podcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you all next time.